Welcome to Business Mentorship, Keepin It Real, where we feature entrepreneurs and enterprise leaders who share their great ideas in our guest blog found on shareyourstories.online. Our guest is Rod Williams, who's a certified personal trainer, a life coach, an actor, screenwriter, and filmmaker. And we're going to discuss how moving outside your comfort zone leads to new opportunities. And Rod joins us from Ottawa, Ontario. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's so nice to see you. Now you're going to open the door by letting everybody know that we actually met. How many years ago was it now that we met?
It's going to be 3 years next month. We're just a month short of 3 years.
Isn't that wild? Now we met during the certification of your life coaching. And you were already a personal trainer at that particular point in time. So give our viewing and listening audience a bit of a background as to why you decided to add the life coaching component to your business.
Yeah, this is a great story that I really enjoy telling. So I've personal trained at 2 clubs, one in Vancouver, one here in Ottawa. And the one here in Ottawa, I just recently left, but I was training there for 9 years. Of those 9 years, I had a personal training client who we had a fantastic relationship. And for most of our relationship, I didn't speak French with her, and she was French. And I dedicated myself to speaking French with her for our sessions for the entire hour. And I realized that even though we had a fantastic relationship, I had such trepidation and anxiousness going into every single session, and we saw each other twice a week. And again, relationship was great, but I just felt inside before the hour started, I was very, very nervous, despite the fact that we were very close. And I said to myself, well, if I'm going through this, and I'm a pretty confident guy, there are people who are actually experiencing this every day, all day. Mm-hmm. And these people need to be looked after just the way I look after people when I'm personal training them.
Right.
And so I looked into life coaching courses, and I wanted something that I could get certified in rather quickly, but with enough thorough detail that I could jump into it, add it to my personal training, and eventually start a business. And I met you, and you changed my life. So there you go.
Oh, well, isn't that a really sweet thing to say? Now, what I love about your story, and it's very true, is that moving outside our comfort zone is really what creates opportunities, right?
Absolutely. Like this live right now, where I am out of my comfort zone because I've never done a live. Absolutely. Just like that.
And it's no different than I always say to folks, if I'm being interviewed, sharing the mic is totally different than being on your end of the mic. So it always puts me out of my comfort zone if I'm never being interviewed, because I'm like, oh, what are they going to ask? What's going to happen?
Well, I'm the type of personality, I like to be prepared. So I have no idea what's going to happen for the next 20 minutes, but I'm excited.
It's definitely live and unscripted, right? I mean, that's the whole reason. And, one of the reasons why I started this Facebook Live is because I realized, we spend so much money on marketing our business and creating a logo and having the right corporate colors. But we forget that there's a person behind the logo. And that's actually what sells our business, right?
Yeah, the personality.
Exactly. It's the connections that we make with our potential clients that really catapult us into success. And I think that's really an important factor when you look at, you started a new business. So tell us a little bit about how did you develop your logo? Because your logo is pretty cool. I mean, you take a look at your website. It's a great logo.
Thank you so much. Shortly after meeting you, it must have been about 2 months after meeting you, I knew that I wanted to put together a website. I'd always wanted to have my own website. I wanted my favorite color, blue, to be part of the website. And that's pretty much all I knew. I tried to design my own website, and that ate up a lot of time. So I got my brother-in-law involved, and he put together this beautiful design. And I wanted something that reflected baby steps, step-by-step movements, and he incorporated a step logo. And one of my favorite quotes is from Martin Luther King Jr., and that is that you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. And that was the inspiration for the design of the site and design of the logo. And yeah, just incorporating my favorite colors and um, strong positive messages that I thought weren't going to be too intimidating when
Right.
people came to the website,
Right.
but more welcoming. And that's how that all came about.
Now, tell us a little bit about, because I mean, you've been in business now for 3 years.
Yeah.
And we've just come through a really difficult time
Yep.
economically,
Yep.
mentally, physically,
Hmm.
spiritually. I mean, we've all been going through this, huge transition. So give us an indication as to how that has affected your business, and how has it changed your marketing focus? Has it changed the focus for the folks that you work with? Are you seeing differences in your clientele?
That is a really good question. And a lot of it has to do with my clients, and a lot of it has to do with myself. So, um, the pandemic was different for everyone. And for
Mhm.
me, it was the opportunity to branch out. I had been working in the fitness industry for 12 years at that point. And I'd always worked for clubs, but always wanted to work for myself. And that was the opportunity to let go of that. The personal training clients that I've had, I currently have, they all come from the club that I used to work at.
Right.
But coming to me during the pandemic was different because we'd been out of touch for a while,
Mhm.
and then we got back in touch, and then it was their experiences and my experiences and getting to know each other through the experiences of the pandemic, and then continue the relationship that we had before, but now
In
it's
a different
different
way.
because we've
Yeah.
all gone through a pandemic. The life coaching clients were all referrals, which was fantastic. And again, the same thing, but this is me creating new relationships with these people who are going through who had gone through the pandemic, and my first attempt at life coaching, their first attempt with a life coach, and just very organically turned into great relationships. The marketing aspect of it was uh, it's again stepping out of the comfort zone because I'd
Mhm.
always wanted to have a website and finally put it up, and didn't market my business. Like, it was a secret business that nobody knew about, but I expected people to come to me. And eventually I had to talk more about it, get on social media, which I just did recently. And it's a growing experience. I mean, it's the first 3 years of business, and it's slowly growing, but at a pace at a pace that works. And it's an experience that I've never had, and financially, it's very robust. So I couldn't be happier.
Good for you. Well, congratulations, because
Thank
the
you.
first 3 years are the hardest years, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
that's sort
think
of
the
the tipping
referrals.
point.
Yeah, I think the referrals definitely helped, and it's by no means perfect. Personal trainers like things a certain way, and it's getting there. It's not
Yeah,
100%, but
yeah.
it's getting there.
Now, do you find that you fold in the personal training with your lifestyle coaching, or vice versa? Because I find that one sort of leads to the other. If you're not feeling good physically, that affects your emotional well-being and affects the outcome that you might be looking
Yeah,
for.
they're remarkably tied.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that they can't be tied, and uh, I think that's what made me want to become a life coach, other than the example of why I became a life coach with the French client and that sort of thing. It was just, I noticed from the very beginning when I first started personal training, I noticed that people needed more than just the physicality. I always say
Right.
that personal training was far more than just barbells and dumbbells. There was a
Right.
lot of like personal coaching that went on during personal training sessions. So it was a very, very easy transition.
Well, the nice
Um,
thing about it, I think, is that, we come to a personal trainer or a life coach with, we want to change something. We're not
mhm.
happy with something in our life, and we're
Yeah,
looking to make a transition and a change.
yeah.
So pushing somebody outside their comfort zone is all part and parcel of that whole, dynamic. And the solutions that we come to at the end, are things that you work on organically together.
Yeah, yeah, and it is definitely pushing people out of their comfort zone because it's
Mhm.
amazing. Um, I mean, on my side of it, I just have the type of personality where it's like, if this is the obstacle, I'm going to take steps A, B, and C to conquer it. But a
Right.
lot of people don't think that way and need the
Right.
guidance. So it's been amazing for me to be relatively new at this and
Mhm.
be able to help people find solutions.
Now, one of the things that we ask in our, the preview for our interview is that if anyone has any questions for the guest, to please DM me or put them in the comments. Now, I will admit I did receive 10 questions for you, and they are all based on how does acting fit into this whole, business model? Now, I did take a look at your social media posts, and you are coaching people who are interested in becoming actors.
Yep.
So you've kind of crossed the bridge into another revenue stream. But tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about how Rod decided to become an actor, because I think everybody's a little bit interested in hearing that story.
Well, to answer your very first question, they don't really cross over. Like personal training and life coaching and acting don't cross over. They are very separate. I am also an acting coach, but the first thing I think is that people are going to think, is he acting as a personal trainer? Can he actually train me to do a push-up? But no,
Well,
I
I
can do
can
that. I'm
attest
qualified.
I can attest to that. You definitely are qualified to be a personal trainer.
I'm qualified. I have always been interested in the film and TV media, the medium of film and TV, and I I know that I watched TV very differently than most kids when I was younger. I was very caught up in the sound and the lights and the hair and the makeup and the story and the actual profession of being an actor. But I never had the confidence to pursue it until I did my first year at Carleton University. Straight out of high school, went into general arts and sciences. I was kind of interested in possibly being a lawyer or a journalist, but all my hopes were dashed when I got booted out of the university for playing far too much pool and not going to class enough. So I spent that summer working at the grocery store that I was working at, trying to figure out my life. And my parents, who are extremely committed, knew that I was always interested in it and found the very first dramatic and performing arts program at Algonquin College. So that was a 2-year program that I went to. And after that, I did a script writing program, graduated from both with honors, and then did some local theater here in Ottawa. And so that was like 3 years of me actually tackling something that I'd been thinking about for 20 years. And it just felt like home. Like from the very first class, I knew that I had to continue to do this. So I did some local theater here in Ottawa, but knew that I wanted to make the evolution to film and TV. And at that point, Ottawa wasn't a very film and TV town. So I actually moved to British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia, in 1997. And I was there for 15 years. And that's where I really got my feet wet in the business of acting. At In the tail end of my Vancouver years, I left acting because it was time for something, a real job, became a personal trainer. And in 2011, my wife and I moved back to Ottawa, and I'd realized what a film and TV town this has become. So a couple of years into returning to Ottawa, I got with an agency here in town that I'm still with. And, I'm fortunate enough to say that I've discovered the business of acting and pursued the business of acting in 2 different provinces and 2 very different times in my life. Left the industry for a little bit, came back to it, and I it is my highest passion. I just love the creative aspect of all of it.
Isn't that wonderful that you're able? So tell us a little bit about coaching actors, because the lifestyle coaching must certainly help with coaching folks who are inspired to get into the same industry as yourself. So you're not just sharing life experience, but you have the coaching, the professional coaching certification to lean on to sort of help you with that transition.
Yeah, it's very interesting. That's a great question, because I didn't really think, I've like my brain is in very different compartments all the time. So I really didn't think the two would mesh, but they really do, because a lot of
Yes.
personal issues come up when somebody's trying to pursue something that they're passionate about, especially as something as exposing as acting.
Mhm.
Um, the uh, I knew a casting director who put together a school to teach actors how to work in film and TV, and we had known each other before I became a coach, and he asked me if I wanted to be an acting coach for his school, and I said no. Like I was like, this was before I was a life coach. I was like, there's no way. Like I had no interest at all. And he kept after me. And then I decided to do it. I was only going to do it for a short time, but I've been doing it the whole pandemic. So like getting life coach certified and becoming an acting coach all happened within months of each other, all at the same
Right.
time. And here we are 3 years later.
Right.
So, but the two do relate. I had no interest in doing it. Now I can't imagine myself not doing
Not
it. And
doing
it's
it.
just
Right.
amazing to be able to give my own experiences to, actors young and old, trying to get into this.
Right.
And it's amazing how they relate to my story of not doing it for 20 years and then jumping into it, because you have people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s coming in wanting to be an actor and not knowing the first thing about it. And then you just get to tell them it's going to be okay. This is how you do it. And Ottawa's a fantastic town to get started in it.
So do you find, Rod, that you've mentioned a few things about like life experience and leaving an industry and coming back to an industry and having a passion and kind of pushing that passion perhaps to the back burner for a little while you pursue other things. In the near future, I mean, you've mentioned you've got great personal training clients, you've got some awesome lifestyle coaching clients, and you've also got some great acting clients. Do you see continuing with those three different revenue streams to make your business really robust? Or is there something else on the horizon with the screenwriting or, or filmmaking that you may also throw into the mix?
I had a feeling you were going to ask this question. And I kind of thought about like where I am now. I'm constantly in that mode. Where I am now, where I want to be, what's going to change, how do I make this grow, and that sort of thing. It's a lot all at once, but it's all the things that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about people making progress in their lives. I'm passionate about fitness, heavily passionate about the artistic industry of acting and writing. This year, I decided to get back in it. Last year, decided to get back into filmmaking after 15 years of being away from it. And I decided before the end of 2023, I want to make 3 short films. So that's something that I'm working on. I'm working on my second film this year, and working on my third film this year. Started making films again in 2021. So filmmaking is definitely part of something I want to explore more of, because I'm returning to it and I really, really enjoy it. I just enjoy the creative aspect of it. As far as fitness goes, I see myself eventually wanting to take care of senior citizens from an activity point of view, because my parents, who are 78 and my mom just turned 81, are still very active and still very mobile and still very capable. And a lot of seniors don't feel as though they can be that way. So that's something I see myself doing. I also see myself working with younger kids who are in sporting activities, because I find they're very disciplined. And I find that that's something that's missing from kids now. I recently told my wife that I'm really interested in getting my psychology degree in the next 5 years, because I want to apply it more to life coaching. So I got big plans, Trish, but
Oh, that's
there's
fantastic,
only
though.
24 hours in a day. So
I know. And
yeah,
what I love about your story, Rod, is that I love the lifelong learning component,
yeah,
because, there's nothing wrong. We don't have to pigeonhole ourselves to say, oh, well, I took this in college and I can't do anything else. Or I
yeah,
took this in university and this is my path and, I can't deviate from that. What I love is that you're allowing your passions to creatively give you inspiration into other things that help other people. And I think that's a really, really important component. And lifelong
thank you.
learning is all part of that, right?
Thank you. Yeah, if anybody had told me 10 years ago this would be my life, I would not have believed
Yeah.
it, but here we
Yeah.
are. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Now, one
yeah.
of the things that we ask in the guest blog is we ask folks to share 3 words of advice. And your 3 words are very poignant for you as a human being, as well as for you as a business person. And they are: progress takes time. So give us a little bit of the backstory to why those 3 words of advice for you are so important.
Um, for multiple reasons. I mean, 2 specific reasons I can think of is that um, I have found myself with disappointments in my life very stuck in the past. And it took a long time to get out of those things in order to move forward. Now I find that I'm a very like forward moving person. So I try not to dwell on the past, but breaking away from, certain things that have happened to you or certain things that have not happened for you and that sort of thing, it takes its toll.
Mhm.
And you have to take it day by day to get away from that. As well, in the fitness industry, like, everyone wants results fast. Like,
Right.
everyone wants it like that, and it's just the nature of the industry. And you have to put in a certain level of consistency and belief in yourself, and those two have to be combined in order to move forward. So and it can take several months or several years, and you have to be ready for that.
Right.
You have to be ready for the results that aren't going to happen now, and know that the work that you're putting into the thing that you want will eventually get there. And if it doesn't get you there, you have to, like, pivot and
Right.
go to the next thing,
Right.
and have, options and ideas that are available for you to do that.
I think that's a really important point, is that keeping yourself open to other opportunities is really what takes us through being in our comfort zone and getting
That
out of
is
our
life.
comfort zone,
It
right?
is life. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing all of the really wonderful nuggets of information that you've given to our viewing and listening audience. And I can totally see why in the last 3 years your business has skyrocketed, because you have the type of personality that gives people the option to say, if I can do this, you can do this. And there's nothing saying that you can't do it. It's whatever your dream or vision is and how far you want to take it, you're there to sort of help them navigate that journey. And that's a really important component to what you do.
Yeah.
So thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for that.
much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. To those who have joined us today, I'd like to thank you for tuning into this edition to Keeping It Real, where we've invited you and introduced you to the person behind the logo. And if you'd like to connect with Rod, all of his contact information will be found in the description portion below each one of the venues that we'll be posting the story on. I'm Trish Tonai, founder and host for the series. And if you're interested in sharing your business story, visit our website at shareyourstories.online. Thanks again, and we look forward to meeting you next time when we share another great idea.